The lab, based up here on level 2 in the Auckland Art Gallery, is presenting 5 projects from architectural and design students around the city.
The lab, in the way that it performs, it truly becomes a facilitator, bringing the issues to the museum. You know, the museum is not only a site of display, but it's a site of production in that sense, of knowledge.
The idea is really to research, to propose ideas in response to a few major themes, including the question of home, including the question of emergency, the question of alternative models of economy. All these issues come together really to make it into an ongoing university, and we call it the brain of the triennial.
The kind of power behind that exhibition is being provided by student work, and so the teachers have set a project that the students have developed. So the work that we're seeing here is the designs of students. There are 5 projects in the lab. The first was led by Kathy Waghorn, who's an academic up at the University of Auckland, working with a very interesting architect academic from the United States called Teddy Cruz.
With the Super City and the development of the structure of the wards, the faux ward was developed, of which the faux river is the centre. So the lab is a kind of process of urban research, which is looking at the whole catchment of the faux and the communities around it and the infrastructure that engages with it and stuff like that, to sort of say, can we shift from this idea of a muddy urbanism to a productive coastline? Actually, we're talking about kind of productive for local communities.
The second project is led by Sarosh Muller, working with Melanie Powell, and that's looking at the question of the ideal home, and particularly thinking about the possibilities for further developing new types of housing for suburban Auckland. The third project is being run by Ro Hoskins and Karen Wilson from Unitec, and they are building a paparewa structure, which is a kind of structure that was a very interesting part of Māori culture in pre-colonial times. It seems that there hasn't been one of these kind of structures built for 150 years or so, and so partly to celebrate the recent treaty settlement here in Auckland, they're building one of these structures more or less at full scale. They're gigantic things, building it, including the structure of the gantry down at the waterfront. The fourth exhibition is being led by Albert Rafiti and Alvin Young at AUT, and they're taking on a project which is looking at what they call a whole lot of the problematics of the development in Auckland. So doing projects that cover a whole lot of kind of key sites around the city and developing kind of new solutions for those. And the fifth project is my project, which is looking at what happens in New Zealand in the advent of disasters, and so looking at what happened in Napier after the big earthquake there, which of course caused a huge kind of change to the structure of the city, looking at Christchurch and disaster recovery, but also how what's happened in Christchurch influences what's happening around the rest of the country and here in Auckland. Each of the projects has really been thinking about, what can we do that has a kind of a longer life, not only that we kind of have an interesting time here and show some work, but it has a kind of a longer life that acts as a kind of catalyst to something bigger outside in the real community.
We've developed proposals which are just speculative, and then what we've done is we've invited all these people, a huge range of people, back to come and discuss with us the speculations that we've made, with the kind of desire that then they might tell us which ones they think are interesting or provocative or useful, so that then we can further develop them with those groups.
All of that kind of activity has been really important in not only just kind of showing the work, but kind of disseminating it out and kind of advancing our thinking on those various projects.
I think I love this notion that reality demands a new theory. And I think that it's important to say that the students were engaged in the construction of a theory and of a language, as we were moving through the projects and the sites and so on.
I think it gives us all a real opportunity to see some really creative and imaginative ideas about how we can all think about this place, wherever it is, in which we live.
We could have done the studio as a studio at the university with the students, but somehow putting it in the gallery says it's in a place where it needs to have attention paid to it, because after all, if it's in the gallery, it's part of the cultural institution, it's valuable.
That's the kind of fantastic opportunity that the lab has presented for us is to bring some of these kind of crucial ideas that are kind of opening up new possibilities, or the questions that are kind of driving the way that the city's changing, and bring them into the public realm, and so for us to kind of discuss those ideas and show the future possibilities in this kind of public place in a way that's really kind of easily accessible to a lot of people.